What is the most awkward sexual advance you have experienced? I.F. was a pizza delivery driver for my town's local pizza joint after high school, and I got assigned to deliver an order to a regular customer. The guy was in his 40s and answered the door in a bathrobe. When he handed me the cash for the order, before I could react, he took my hand and kissed it, to which I could only mumble nervously, "Oh, you're sweet." He looks me in the eyes and says, "No, just frisky." Suffice it to say, I got out of there fast and only sent male drivers to that address in the future, lol. That's so gross and inappropriate. What a creep. I hope you told your boss about that. I used to live in the downtown area of a small city, and my apartment was conveniently a block away from a pizza place, so I could get late night food without driving anywhere. One night I was walking to the pizza place and a homeless lady very loudly and repeatedly offered to give me a BJ if I would let her use my phone. I politely declined the offer and fled. I did get the pizza, but I brought it home via a different route. Asking me to code her website. Backstory: shortly after I got married, the place I worked hired a new AP clerk. AP was right next door to IT, and so I dealt with this woman a lot. After about 6 months she asked me to help code her website. She wanted to sell stuff online. I didn't know dong about how to code a website, and told her so. She left the company about 6 months later. About 2 weeks after that, I was talking to the CFO, and this girl came up in conversation. "Oh, man, you dodged a bullet," the female CFO told me. She had the biggest crush on you. She devised this idea to have you code her sex toys website as a way to get your attention. She figured that you'd think any girl that was into selling sex toys. So, being asked to code a website is the most awkward sexual advance I've experienced, if only because I only learned about it in retrospect. Some guy came up to me while I was walking to a class on the college campus. He said, "Nice day, huh?" and I agreed. It was in fact a nice day. Good weather for a BJ, huh? And I was sort of startled, but I conceded the point that I suppose it was good weather. Rookie mistake. He asked if I wanted one. I informed him I was heading to my anthro-bio lecture, and walked off. I wonder how many times that line has worked for him, because 2 semesters later on the same campus he used it again on me. I assume he didn't recognize me. Not a bad line, because any weather is good for a BJ. Worked in a restaurant. Old lady customer regular snuck into the back prep room where I was working and said, "When there's snow on the mountain top, there's fire down below." Started looking for a new job that day. I'm stealing that line. That's hilarious. I was watching a football game in a bar with a bunch of people from my hometown that I didn't know that well. Some kid a few years older than me kept saying random crap to me and I was trying to politely ignore him. As I was watching one of the TVs, I yawned and he immediately stuck his finger all the way into my mouth. And then, after realizing how freaking weird he had just been, went, "I didn't know you well enough to do that." At least he owned it. Man, that's awkward. In college I met this guy and we decided to hang out. He picked me up from my dorm and we were supposed to go back to his apartment to watch movies. During the ride there he was pretty much quiet the whole time and staring straight ahead as if he was trying not to look at me. We arrived at the parking lot to his apartments. He parked and continued staring straight ahead like a crazy person. Then he suddenly put his hand on my upper thigh. I immediately moved his hand away and asked him what the frick he was doing. He didn't answer. He just started the car and silently drove me back to my dorm. I swear it felt like a scene from Halloween. Sounds like he was an inexperienced guy who read a WikiHow article on how to seduce girls and then got nervous. Doesn't make it any less creepy though. The whole date was a comedic disaster which I'm saving for some future worst date thread. Like, I really don't think anyone could top it. But the date ended with me trying to kick him out of my car as he explained that normally he would have a 1-year requirement on the relationship before having sex, but he might drop it down to 6 months for me, followed by an explanation of how he wouldn't take his mass picture off his dresser, but he would turn it around like he does when he masturbates. I'm making that thread now because I want the full story. The last line made me choke. We were in a bar when a very awkward, totally drunk guy came to us and just simply told one of the girls that all you need is love, if you want to. That's all he said. Waited for some response from the girl, but when he realized it was cringy as heck, he left. I bet it sounded awesome in his head. Not sure this counts as a sexual advance, but a guy kept poking my boob with a replica of a sword from Sword Art Online. I now know that the same guy kicked his friends out of his birthday party so he could masturbate in private. Sounds like a winner. Super cool. You can absorb knowledge from swords through your boob though. I worked for my local school system for a bit. The staff teachers all went out to happy hour one Friday and invited me. I didn't know teachers love to get freaking wasted. A newly divorced music teacher came up to me and told me how we haven't had an attractive IT guy in so long, and then proceeded to tell me she has only had C-sections and everything is still intact. She was super drunk, but boy was it uncomfortable to just fake laugh and try to slowly move away. And then proceeded to tell me she has only had C-sections and everything is still intact. The best pickup lines are the one that called to mind images of screaming babies being dragged out of a stomach incision by a masked surgeon. Guy told me he wanted to go on a date. Got dressed up and wore my best jewelry and bag. He actually just wanted a BJ in his car, wanted to film it, and then got a call from his mom and had to go. I had him drop me off at a theater near my house so my parents wouldn't ask why I was back in less than 5 minutes. I've had a guy pull exactly the same crap on me. Basically said that a BJ was the price of deleting the dating app from his phone via which we met. If the BJ was good enough, we could be exclusive. He somehow wanted points for honesty for this statement and was pissed at me when I roundly declined his generous offer. One of my students waited until everyone left the class, leaned over grabbing my hands, looking into my eyes and said, "Mr. I'm 18 now. Sigh. My description does not adequately sum up the intensity of the encounter. I basically ran away. That's extremely awkward. You completely forgot to say happy birthday." I'm 17. Working behind the counter of a local pizza sub pasta etc. You get the idea. Place. It's close to closing time, so around 9. Drunk creepy man in his 50s is standing at the counter drinking a beer while I put together his sub and make awkward small talk. He then asks me what time I get done work and if I want to join him for a drink. Bear in mind again, I'm 17, but I also look way younger. Always have. I decline with the excuse that I am not old enough to drink, and he just kinda pauses and says that's not a problem. I have enough beer in my hotel room to get you drunk. I just kinda shook my head no with what I presume to be a deer in headlights look, hand him his now wrapped sub, and walk out back to wait for him to leave. I called my dad to come walk with me home that night. Didn't have a family car and worked about a 5-minute walk away from home. I called my dad to come walk with me home that night. Good call. When I was 16, I was at a friend's house drinking alcohol that his mom bought for us. The room was spinning and I was starting to pass out, so I crawled under the kitchen table to sleep. The next thing I know, his mom is under the table with me trying to take my clothes off. I fought her off for 5 minutes and made my way to the bathroom, locked the door and slept in the bathroom. Well, that's terrifying. I'm sorry. Parents' Christmas house party. I'm 16. Everything is pretty chill. I'm relaxing in the kitchen talking to parents and a few of their friends. Their mom's friend is super drunk and makes a slurred comment and grabs my dong, through pants of course, and everybody just kinda stops talking and I laugh nervously and just grab my drink and leave the kitchen. She didn't come around after that. So like most of these awkward stories, I was at the bar. It was close to last call and I was playing pool. This fairly attractive, I remember it what way anyways, girl came up to me saying she had her eye on me all night. She starts grinding on me and kissing my neck and her hands go up my shirt. It's tacky cause there are people everywhere, but hey, why not? She then lifts my shirt and takes a good bite at my nipple. Of course, I jump back like 5 feet and say holy crap. What the heck, and she got embarrassed and ran out the bar. I divert chased her butt down and drove her to my place to bite the other one. I had a random older guy walk up to me and strike up a conversation while on a walk in the park. He seemed like a regular guy who felt lonely after moving to a different country. I felt sorry for him, so we talked for a while. Then he tried to convince me to wander off the path to take a picture together. I respectfully declined and kept walking. He then told me about his heart condition. Apparently, He'd have a heart contact if he doesn't get regular handies, and would I be willing to help him out? Nope, the frick out of there and disappeared into the next subway station. Ah, the old handies from Randus to avoid a real heart contact. Been there, brother. Moved to a new town, ate mushrooms in a park and walked around. Got approached by another man, looking for a gay hookup. I watched his face turn several shades of red and purple before putting it together what was going on. Turned him down, but he followed me for a while, desperately trying to get laid. Got out of there and learned later that not only was there a good fishing on the river there, but it was also a kind of underground gay hookup spot. Awkward as frick. Ate mushrooms in a park. I immediately thought of a person sitting on a park bench just munching away on shiitakes. Picked up a guy friend of mine and some of his friends at a bar because they were super drunk. He talked about how big my boobs were and how he'd like to touch them. I just turned the music up and drove a little faster. I just turned the music up. My milkshakes bring all the boys to the yard. My now wife and I had been dating about 6 months when we went camping with her family. It's my first family trip with them and I'm on my best behavior. Her older sister was there because she'd gotten into a fight with her fiance and was drinking her problems away that weekend. I point out there happened to be a dance competition at the campground, and being the dumb white kid that I was, make a joke that I could win doing break dancing, which I absolutely cannot do. And her drunk sister proclaims in front of everyone that she could win by giving me a lap dance. I had no idea what to say. My wife lost her crap on her sister. Their dad, having a twisted sense of humor, thought it was hilarious. Most awkward camping trip ever. It was hilarious. A night at my sports club for someone's member of the ladies section 40th birthday. Just a couple of blokes there, and a lot of tipsy ladies of a certain age. One of the ladies decides to try her luck with all the men there, including myself. 3 out of the 4 of us back away from her, us being happily coupled, her being very married. She's getting very handsy and dancing against us, and none of us want anything to do with her. Not unattractive, but no, thank you. My girlfriend is right there. The 4th guy. Well, what happens in the dark behind a shed is none of our business. Oh wait, no, I made an earlier comment. I was at a fancy restaurant with my 2 siblings, their mother and her boyfriend, for my brother's birthday. After dinner the waitress asked if we want coffee or dessert. I normally only drink black coffee, but they didn't have that on the menu, so I just order a cortado. Now up until this point she has been somewhat flirtatious with me, in front of my family mind you, but I'm a male so I obviously had not caught on. Anyway, then jokingly, but looking me dead in the eyes, ask if the cortado should be single like her, or double like her bed. Black. I just want black coffee. That's really freaking smooth. Very hot patient. Occupation stripper. Hitting on the right out of school 22-year-old X-ray tech at 1 AM. Very unnerving indeed for me. Insisted several times on showing me her injured sternum by not keeping her gown on. Not often does one find themselves in an actual porno situation, lol. Once had a guy hit on me. He did a shot of tequila in a club, shivered, looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I hate tequila, but I live gingers." I live gingers, too. My sister's boyfriend tried to kiss me, but I turned my head and he got the side of my lips. He asked if I was uncomfortable and I said yes, and then he went to sleep. At least he listened, but it was still screwed up. My ex-boyfriend's brother got my phone number and texted me after me and the ex broke up and said, "Hey, I miss hearing you and have sex. You're so sexy and you sound so sexy and I can't hide my fantasy anymore." Not only was he an ex's sibling, which is obviously a no-go, but he was also only 16. I was 20 at the time. I texted back to be nice and said, "Thanks for the compliment, hun, but this is obviously wrong and you're too young for me. Find a girl your age that you like." He randomly hit me up again 2 years later, excited to tell me it was his 18th birthday. Mayo, I never replied. Holy crap, I miss hearing you have sex. That's one hell of a opening line. I had a deep makeout sess with this guy and he kept smacking my thigh. Not my reachable, but my thigh. I was too confused to even ask why afterwards. Wasn't even sexual, but in middle school this girl I knew had a huge crush on me, but I had zero interest romantically. Well, for like my birthday or something she asked me to meet her at her locker because she had a present for me. I went with my best friend, and when I got there she told me to close my eyes. So I do and put out my hand, and she kissed me like near my mouth but mostly on my cheek, and out of surprise I said ow. Then we all kind of silently went down the hall and went different ways out of the school. To this day I still die inside when I think about it. Alexia, if you read this, I'm sorry I made it even more awkward. Alexia is the friend that has to witness it. Going back a few years when I was a lot younger, some random drunk woman who was a good 20 years older than me propositioned me by asking if she could frick me with a strap-on dildo. Pointed at a friend of mine and said he will. Got me out of there and him giving me some grief after for that. Propositioned, my dude. I've got two from two different times at the same bar. First one was the first time I'd been out drinking at a bar with my brother since he just turned 21 a couple weeks before. Turns out he is a lot of fun while drinking, so him and I are going drink for drink as fast as we can. After a round I said let's go get another, and we start walking to the bar. I feel a hand grab my butt hard as heck while walking past the dance floor. Thinking it was my brother screwing around. It was a hard grip. Like hard enough to almost hurt. I turned and yelled, "What are you doing?" He knew I was messing around with my aggressive half yell, but the big girl with a Bachelorette party sash who actually grabbed my butt looked terrified. I tried to tell her I thought it was my brother messing with me, but she must not have heard over the band and disappeared. My brother and my friends had a good laugh at that one. The next was close to closing time where they started bringing the lights up. I went to take a leak before my buddy and I called an Uber. I come out of the bathroom and walk over to him. He started talking with a bachelorette party while I was in the bathroom. I walk over and we all start talking when the bride-to-be looked at me, took M's shirt and aggressively pulled it open to look at my tattoo. She then rubbed it and touched it, saw the one on my ribs and started caressing that one too. The rib one goes from just under my armpits to the lower part of my hips, so I was loving it. But then she stopped, said she was getting married like I was the one flirting with her, and they disappeared. Bachelorette party girls are the worst. I was the designated driver for that evening because I had to get up early the next day. I already stayed too long. Just as I was leaving, a tipsy acquaintance stopped me, asked if I can drive her to her friend. It wouldn't be a detour. I believed her, started driving, and then she started giving directions. I lived about 10 minutes away. She directed me 25 minutes in the opposite direction, trying to flirt constantly. I try to dampen her expectations by giving one-syllable answers. We arrive. She takes out her cell phone and acts like she's calling her friend. I can clearly see how she's dialing her flashlight app. This spiel lasted about 10 minutes until she said her friend isn't picking up, but that's no problem. I'll just sleep at your place. By now I had only 3 hours to sleep until I had to get up for work and was really angry. Kicked her out of my car. Her parents lived close by. Still not proud of it, and drove home. Never talked again. I'm imagining her phone strobe lighting as she is dialing with her flashlight app. It was a small party at my apartment. My roommate had people over and they were getting hammered. My GF, now my wife, and I went to bed, shutting my bedroom door. Some girl kept on knocking, wanting me to come out. I have no idea who she was. GF kept yelling at her through the closed door to frick off, which she finally did. She left a note for me. GF read it and threw it away. She told me about it, and I got it out of the trash to read. It was all about if I thought sex with my GF was good, I needed to give her a shot so she could show me how much better she was at fricking. It was flattering, but weird and creepy. I assumed she was just wasted, and to take her up on it would have been taking advantage of a fricked up person. I never found out exactly who she was or saw her again. It wasn't long after that I moved out of that app and into one with my GF. In 8th grade, this chick just straight up told me she wanted to frick. I was down, but was a virgin. Talking to her on the phone, she tells me how she likes to record the crap and has made videos and sold them to pee shops. We were in 8th grade. That made me immediately uninterested. That's unfortunate. High school yearbook signing time before summer break. Mostly we just handed them out to anyone who wanted to sign them. One of the girls in my class signed "I hope we run into each other's arms this summer." Not a big deal till I looked at the name and she replaced her last name with mine as if we were married. Mrs. Fiona Charming. Not enough people are saying whether or not these experiences worked. I wanna know if the girl that ate 12 raw eggs got some or not. Come on people. I have either not made it that far or my mind deleted that memory. Don't know which is more likely. A girl walking up to me in a club, taking my glasses off, licking the lenses, and sliding them in my shirt pocket. I'm a bouncer in a popular bar in my area, scanning IDs at the door one night when the dreaded bachelorette party strolls in. First couple girls in the group go normally, then comes the bride-to-be. She grabs me by the dong and pulls hard, to the point I almost hit her, and drunkenly slurs something along the lines of "I want you to rearrange my organs." I promptly removed her hand from my genitals and refused to let them in. I don't know why one would think it's a good idea to aggressively squeeze a bouncer's balls, but I see plenty of crazy crap on a daily basis, so it didn't really surprise me. There is a point when people are too drunk and are a liability to the bar. I'm a guy. I was 16 and at Target in flip-flops, and an elderly man came up and asked if he could rub my toes. I was with a friend and she burst out laughing. I declined and he grabbed a bag of popcorn and stormed off. I won't say it was awkward, but I was 14 at the time and completely clueless. Seeing as I had just started my first relationship, I had no idea about advances or flirting or anything. I was on a cadet camp and a 15-year-old corporal tried to flirt with me. I did it back, but I only saw it as banter. She sent me a message late at night asking if I wanted to talk in the hall cause she couldn't sleep. I ignored her. Playing hard to get at 14. You're a natural player. Okay, to start this off, I was 40, at a conference out of town, hotel bar, pretty quiet. I was having a drink and in walks a local. Everyone calling him by his name. He takes a seat at the bar. I am minding my own business, but I am friendly. Shortly, he strikes up a conversation. He is 72, divorced, living in a motel nearby and so lonely. Would I please sleep with him? I told him I was married. He didn't care. This guy was pushing 300 pounds and begged and pleaded. Had to make a quick getaway from that one. Yikes. I suppose if you're 300 pounds and living in a motel, sympathy is the only angle you can play. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.